There are a number of ways we can solve this problem. I'm going to show you the fastest. To start though, let's recognize that we're working with a rate problem. The reason we know this is that this problem uses the word per. And anytime you come across the word per, that means you're working with rates. Now, anytime you work with rates, do yourself a favor, put the rate formula down on paper. And the rate formula is rate times time equals work, where work represents any distance you travel, any money you make, any objects you build. Again, work is distance, money, or objects built. Now, once you have the formula down on paper, take the information you've been given and plug it into the formula. For example, here, we know our car travels d miles. Remember, distance is work, so that's going to go in our work slot. We know we travel at a constant speed of r miles per hour. The word per signifies a rate, so that r is a rate, and we're going to put it in the rate slot. Now, of course, what we don't know so far is the time it takes, so let's label the time t. And you can see when we do this, we now have a formula, r times t equals d. Well, what is quantity A? Quantity A is what is the time it takes to travel the d miles at r miles per hour. Well, we can use our formula now to solve for that time. And you can see if we divide both sides of the equation by r, we get that t equals d over r. That is the value of quantity A. As a next step, notice we're comparing d over r to d over s. And what's helpful about this is, look, anytime your two quantities are fractions, you can cross-multiply the fractions to compare them as long as the values are positive. And here we know d and r and s are all positive values because what's d? It's a distance traveled, and you can't have a negative distance. What's r? That's the rate we're driving at to travel that distance. That's a positive value. And again, what's s? According to the problem, s is also a speed of s miles per hour. That is a positive concept. So let's go ahead and cross-multiply. If we do, you can see quantity A becomes d times s, and quantity B becomes d times r. Now, something further you may not be aware of, you can also divide your quantities by the same amount if what you're dividing by is positive. So what I would do if this were my problem, I would divide both quantities by d because I know d is a positive value because d represents a distance of miles. And when I do, what's left over? Quantity A becomes s, and quantity B becomes r. And that's great because the problem tells us that r is greater than s. And if that's the case, B is clearly greater than A. And there you go. That is, to me, the easiest, fastest way here to determine that B is the correct answer.